the Security Dialogue.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are welcome to the Security Dialogue on Muslim Television Ahmadiyya International. It is contended that religion causes conflict and war. It is true that sometimes deeply held beliefs can lead to clashes, and there have been many wars that were caused by disputes over religion and beliefs. In this respect, there is much empirical evidence amassed over the last few decades to substantiate the notion that religion is more the problem than the solution to many of the world's more enduring conflicts, both within countries and between them. Today on the Security Dialogue, we look at peace and security development from the standpoint of religion. And I have a very eminent person in this studio, in the person of Movi Omar Jesse Sahib. He is the coordinator for Review of Religion, Ghana. Movi Sahib, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I think I have met you a couple of times on same show, and it's been wonderful. So, like I've just introduced our program, we are looking at religion in connection with peace and security development. And so I want to ask from the very beginning that what is the role of religion in peace and security?
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jazakumullah for the opportunity as well. So we talk about the role of religion in establishing peace and security. And first of all, we have to understand what peace and security means. So in the simplest form, you can say the absence of threat and then fear. The fact that people live together in peace itself, and then also there's tranquility, then that is what we call peace and then security. Now, the role of religion is very, very important in this. And then, in fact, religion plays a key role, if not the only role, the key role in establishing peace and security in wherever we are. You look at the first surah in the Holy Quran, where Allah the Almighty starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and then he moves on to say that Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that all praise belongs to God, Lord of all the worlds, Lord of all creations, right? This sends a subtle message to all, that Allah the Almighty is for all of us, not for a particular group of people or a sect of people, but for the whole of mankind. And so as a believer, when you understand this saying or this teaching of the Holy Quran, then it means that you are a true epitome of what we call peace. And this is what the Holy Quran is also preaching. Now, when you look at the history of religion, you would know that there is a very common teaching. We have other common teachings as well, but there is a very common teaching that is called the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule is what, in simple terms, they call you like for others what you like for yourself. And this is what Islam also says, that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه, that you cannot be called a true believer, a true mu'min, unless what you like for yourself, you like for others as well. So it means that Islam does not allow you to hurt or curtail the rights or to infringe upon the rights of anyone. So when this is established in our societies, in our vicinities, in where we are, then we can say that we are truly living in a peaceful and a secured, society. And so this is, one of the key roles that religion also plays. You look at Christianity, for example, and you look in the Bible, and then in history, you realize that Jesus alayhi salatu wasalam was referred to as the Prince of Peace. Now you ask yourself, if his act, his nature was not covered with peace, then why would he have been referred to as the Prince of Peace? So religion, in that sense also, from the Christianity point of view, plays an important role. And this is what all the sincere servants of Allah the Almighty and then the prophets were sent to the earth for this main purpose, to establish, peace and security, so that we live harmoniously wherever we are. So this is, just the role that religion plays in establishing peace and security.
Thank you very much. But so, given this wonderful background, I mean, very deep, concerted knowledge, would you, in any way, say that the historical background to the fact that in our quest to, as it is, establish various religions, there has been some contentions. So will you say that religion then has been the main cause of many of the conflicts that we see today?
That would be wrong, so far as I am concerned. You cannot say that religion is the cause of the conflicts that we have, but you can blame individuals for their immoral acts, for their unscrupulous acts, to put it that way, because religion itself teaches peace and then tranquility and then security, as we've already discussed. And there's nowhere in any religious book or the authentic source of any religious book that you find, a religion teaching violence in it. But individuals who have failed to abide by, the teachings of their predecessors or their masters are those who can be blamed for such atrocities, but it cannot be linked to any religion in any form. And this is proven from history. When you talk about Christianity or Islam, you look at the time that the prophets of Allah existed among their people. So far as he lived among their people, they were people who preached peace, and then people, came closer to them. And this is how the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah even told him that لو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك, that if the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was hard-hearted, was someone who did not like peace, was someone who caused, threats or created trouble, people wouldn't have come closer to him. They would have moved away from him. But rather, people came closer to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But again, in history, we see that when the prophets alayhi wasallam went or were demised, they parted ways with their people, and then they went to meet their Lord. That is when, all these disbeliefs, these unscrupulous acts, unscrupulous teachings, meandered its way into religion. And so people cause or they do things in the name of religion, but in actuality, these things cannot be found in religion. Now, if, let's say, it's very common that they say that Muslims, support what we call suicide bombing and all those things. But if such a person goes to do that, he goes outside and then he causes suicide, and then you say, okay, he said, I did it in the name of religion. Okay, you said it's in the name of religion, but where in your religious book is it stated? And he is able to prove it to you. Or he says that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it, or Jesus Christ alayhi salatu wasalam, or any other prophets did it. And he is able to prove from that religious book, let's say Islam, he's able to prove it from the Holy Quran. Then you can say that, oh, okay, Islam teaches violence. Islam teaches that there shouldn't be peace. But so far as the person is unable to prove from the authentic source, that is the word of Allah the Almighty, then it means that the person is at fault. Just say, for example,
that becomes like a criminality.
Yes. And it can never be linked to religion as well. For instance, you make someone designs or he brings out what you call bread knife. The motive for the bread knife for you is to cut bread with it. But if you stab someone with it, can you blame the manufacturer? You cannot blame him, because the motive or the essence for making that thing was for you to cut bread, not to stab someone. So this is it. You can blame the person, but you cannot blame Allah the Almighty. You cannot blame religion at all.
So that means that there's this misconception when people are trying to relate their actions for the mere fact that probably they are Muslims, or they are hiding behind certain shades to commit those kind of atrocities. Okay, so that will move me into my next question to ask that how can then religious leaders and then let's say faith-based organization help in ending these atrocities that we are seeing? Because I'm saying so because we have large numbers when it comes to religion, be it Christianity, Islam, The last time we had our conference, I mean, after the deadly pandemic, we saw the numbers. I mean, both online and then at a physical presence. We saw the numbers. So there's still this notion that people are thinking, then it's like religion is failing us. Is it that our leaders are not doing what, for instance, the Quran says or what other books are saying? Because I have in the office that you work, review of religion, just about last week I was reading one of the books, and I've seen the effort by our spiritual leader, Huzu, the addresses that he gives to various sections of the world. But we are still seeing a lot of these atrocities being committed. Is it that they are not doing enough, or still religion has some continuum of contribution when it comes to these atrocities?
I mean, it's a very deep question indeed, but you look at it from this angle, as I just stated the example of the bread knife and whatever. So the point or the whole thing of it all is that we wouldn't say religion is failing us, right? Because it is Allah the Almighty who created the world, and He knows what will help us. That is why He has also given us a book to guide us. But the mere fact that Allah the Almighty gave us a book or something to guide us means that Allah the Almighty is well aware of how people will deviate without the book, right? And so you look at the conditions of the condition of the Muslims nowadays, right? We say that we are the best of mankind. We are selected for the good of mankind. But looking at all that is happening in the Muslim world or the so-called Muslim countries, you can only say, in a way, it is not a good image that is, given to Islam. But in another way, you can say that it also proves actually the truthfulness of religion itself, because the Prophet alayhi salam and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam also prophesied, about this era in which we are, right? Talking about how people will sway or move from religion, how people will move from the true teachings of Islam, the true teachings of what they were given right from the very beginning of, their lives. So it also proves the truthfulness of the Prophet, the truthfulness of religion from that instance. But as I said, you can only blame individuals, you can only blame groups for their misunderstandings of religious teachings, and a whole lot that has contributed to what we see in this current world and in this current age. But just a word of advice for all of us, that as religious leaders, as people that people have trust in us to lead them, it is our responsibility to lead by example. And this is what the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said for us. This is how the prophets alayhi salam also led their lives. They lived their lives in such a way that they became a role model for their followers. And so these are the people that when true sincere servants of those faiths or those religions follow, they can be guided to the right path. So as leaders of these organizations or leaders of these religious bodies, it is incumbent upon us to copy the lifestyle of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the prophets, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon them. If we are able to do that, if we are able to set our own example in front of people, it is something that is natural. It will definitely attract members, to also act in line with what we are also doing, because they look up to us. They want to see something in us that will also attract them. But if we are in a condition that our lives are not in accordance with the teachings of Islam, the practices of the Holy Prophet and the prophets, then definitely people will also move away from it. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentioned these kind of, leaders that will be having in the latter days, that they will become the worst of all of them, right? They will become the worst of all of them. So again, it proves the truthfulness of Islam, but it also points to the sorry state of the Muslim leaders at that time. And so the Ahmadiyya Muslim community has taken, that mantle, has taken, that charge to bring mankind back to the one and only God. And if we are able to do that, and we are doing it, then it means definitely people will gradually come one after the other to the main, to the faith of Allah the Almighty, to religion, which will establish that the peace that we are talking about. Now, you just mentioned His Holiness going around addressing. He is a religious leader, right? And so he understands his role. That is why he has been moving from parliament to parliament, from countries to countries, just to preach the message of peace to each and everyone. And he has categorically warned us of, the impending World War III, that we have to establish peace. We have to make sure that justice is established. If it is done, then peace will reign wherever we are. But if it is contrary to what he is saying, which is the message of a religion that was established by Allah the Almighty, then obviously there wouldn't be any peace and security. We will never enjoy anything like that. We always live in fear, and then also, fear for our lives as well. We will never be in peace because we do not want to, hearken to the words of the Khalifa, the words of Allah the Almighty, telling us to establish peace, telling us to establish, justice, so that we are able to put our, vicinities, our areas into the right condition where people will live in peace and security.
Thank you very much, Musa. Now, having said all of that, but there are still some people who still have a certain ideologies or certain understanding that yes, we know Islam, stands for peace. There has been errors, when it comes to historical antecedent, all of that. When you have established the fact that people who are committing some of these atrocities are doing it out of their own evolution. It is not based on their practice, but they are covering themselves. But still people believe, and in our attempt to remove those doubts, what do you think are some of the causes or the drivers that pushes people to either hide or not to commit some of these atrocities? I'm looking at this critical, these two things, the causes or the drivers of some of this. Is it that the competition to establish oneself of one's religion? Because I have also read that there's no compulsion in religion. So for that alone, it gives me a certain sense of the security nature of Islam. Because I can't put a knife to your throat and ask you to join my religion.
That's true.
But still, what has been some of the drivers in terms of some of the religious things that people feel that it is still has a certain contribution when it comes to conflict?
First of all, what I would say is that obviously these things are done out of, ignorance. And when you are ignorant, it is fine. You are ignorant, you don't know. But when ignorance is backed by pride, that is where the whole problem comes from. Because if you are ignorant, we teach you, you come to understand. But if your ignorance, the knowledge that you don't have, and then you assume that you have, you stand on that and think that any other doctrine, any other faith, any other religion is on the wrong path, then this is how, all these things, come about. But when people understand themselves to be human beings who can err, and so they can be corrected, then we will be on the right path to establishing peace. But if that is the problem of where people think that what I know or what I think I know is final, and so whatever Islam or Christianity is saying, they should be thrown away, then that is wrong. And so we read in history that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actually allowed some Christians to pray in his mosque. So he tolerated them. He gave them that chance to worship their Lord in his mosque, right? The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he lived with Jews, Christians, and people who did not belong to any faith at all. So tolerance, again, is very, very important. But when people, are afraid that when we tolerate this person, he might, overrun or overshadow our beliefs, then that is where the problem comes from. And this is what led to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being chased from his home, because the people feared the truth. And when people fear the truth out of ignorance, then this is what will cause all these problems that we are having. And so that is how I see it, that these have been the causing, the main causing factors that have led to, these things that we see right now.
So it is more of ideological conflict. So people feel that they have the right at every point in time to, superiority complex is one of the issues that causes all this. All right, so we are getting to the final element of this very discussion. So what from, and I'm asking this from the context of even where you sit, review of religion, like I'm saying, I've read some of the, critically, what are some of the informations that you will want to share with us and some of the measures that we need to equally put in? You have mentioned some, but I'm sure there are some other measures within the Quranic context, even some of the books of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that consciously or unconsciously we will be able to know that these are the tenets for peace and security development.
Yes. First of all, everyone watching this program should continue watching, because this is a very good platform for all our viewers to get acquainted with what we are talking about today, which in one way or the other is also, creating that awareness or giving us the insight of what should be known. And so that is what the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is doing in general, that in whichever department that anyone is, the main motive of the person being there is to, preach the true teachings of Islam. And then Islam, as we all know, means peace. And so from that perspective, from where the person is coming from, each and every department that the person works in, his main motive is to establish peace in the world. And so the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is also doing the same thing, as I mentioned. He's moving from place to place, countries to countries, parliament to parliament, and a whole lot to preach the message of peace, the message of Islam. And then in his addresses, he always advises us that, number one, we should try to be tolerant. And this is what the Holy Quran also says, that even the idol worshippers, you shouldn't insult their gods, right? You should allow them to do whatever they are doing. We have our own way of convincing people. If you insult them, they will end up insulting Allah the Almighty, because they also don't know, right? And so it will be whose fault? It will be your fault for insulting their gods. And so he tells us to be tolerant in that sense. And then again, pride is something that he said we should also remove from our minds. We should never think of it. He says that, for instance, those in authority, those who are rich in the society, they should understand that pride can bring them down. And they should realize that the poor people under them, whether they are rich, no matter how their riches are, they are poor people who are working for them. Without them, they cannot be where they are. And so they should realize that they are in that status or in that station to serve those who are under them. And so when there is no pride, then definitely there will be peace and tranquility. It is out of this pride from these rich nations, rich countries, that we have, rebelliousness and all this, tension here and there. Because when the poor feel that they are not being treated right, their rights are being curtailed, then definitely they will come up to rebel against a government or a nation or any individual who thinks he's higher above them, right? So he teaches us that in order to establish peace in wherever we are, there should be, that we should get rid of what you call pride, and then also establish the rule, establish the example that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam established. That is a country where he lived with people in peace, a place where he lived with people with, love and affection. When all those things are there, then we can never cry for peace. Peace will always be with us, and everyone around us will be secured. And this is what, again, you mentioned the review of religions. This is what the review of religions is also doing, that the message of Islam, the message of Ahmadiyya, the message of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I've just mentioned, people get to know these messages so that they can learn from it and also send that message to other people as well.
Thank you. This has been a wonderful discussion. I had here in the studio Movi Omar Jesse Sahib, who is the coordinator for Review of Religion Ghana, discussing peace and security development from the standpoint of religion. And he has explicitly said that the teachings of Islam connote peace. And we have severally and oftentimes inform our viewers and educate our viewers of that teachings of Islam. And then from some of the very striking things that he mentioned, which our revered Huzu has also been mentioning and we need to follow up, is the fact that we need to be very tolerant in society, eschew pride, and then love. And these are some of the elements that can promote and ensure sustainability of peace and security from religion, because religion can never be the driver or the cause of conflict as we witness, but out of the evolution, the pride nature of some advanced countries, some advanced people in terms of resources have contributed to the various conflict that we are experiencing when it comes to the competition of ideologies. But with Islam, there's that level of tolerance that we give to each and everyone, where at a point in time in the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are people who do not belong to his section or his sect, but they were allowed to even use his mosque to pray, as it is to offer worship to the one God that we are all looking up to. And so on the security dialogue, we have always established the fact that it is for the promotion of peace and security, and that is the only thing that can continuously sustain us for that development that we look for in our homes, in our community, and at the national level. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.